Yeah, so I'm nearly 50 and I've just climbed into a truck and trailer for the first time. So I've been a driver for about, let's see, 5.5 years. So there's no doubt a lot of people out there that have become a truck driver, got sick of it and got out of it by the time I actually climb into a truck and trailer. So, you know, it's a little bit unusual for, I suppose, in Australia at least. I think most people would start when they're young. I know that in the USA people do start when they're in their 50s, 55, 60 or whatever. I think that in a way it's an advantage to start when you're late, but when you're starting to get a few years on the clock, as compared to somebody that starts young. So that is to say that if you know, what's the best scenario, to start at 50 or to start in your teens? Well, I'd say that starting at 50 would be an advantage because you've got all the prior driving experience behind you. I've been on the road since the age of 17, which is a bit unusual in Australia. When I was young, if you could prove that you lived in a place that was remote, you could get your license 1 year early for a motorbike, and that's what I did. That's where I started with motorbikes. So what is it now? 31 years, I think. 1984 was when I hit the road. 1984, 2015 is 31 years. You know, throughout your life you get a sort of a signal from people what you're good at, and I have always been considered as a driver and somebody that can drive well. So with sort of signals from people thinking I'm a driver, you know, I started out with motocross. I learned to, I've said in other videos, I learned to read, speak and write through motorcycles, through reading motorcycle magazines, mechanics. I grew up in a motorcycle club, and so that was with motocross. Then out of everybody I was picked to drive a truck home when I was about, sorry, not home, but back to base, back to the plastering shop where I worked. I worked in Brisbane, and I was given a car as a what we call a patcher or a pre-painter, that you'd go to every house and just get it up to spec and up to standard, up to the quality that was needed to paint it. And they gave me a van, no sorry, a 1-tonner. This is going back to 1991 to 1994. So I got a company vehicle there. I worked in Amsterdam for a year and a half. In Amsterdam he gave me a truck, he gave me a van, and I drove the van and I picked up materials, I dropped people off, I picked people up, took them back to the base, to the shop. I did purchases, and I was able to drive around and get a very good knowledge of Amsterdam. When I was a plasterer, I used to drive from Bendigo to Melbourne just as a daily trip, which is fair, you know, a fair few people do drive from Bendigo to Melbourne, but I did that every day for a year. Let's see now. You know, I put on a lot of miles in both Melbourne and Brisbane. Another thing, I was driving along and I was in working in Holland, and they're saying to me, "You're a driver. You're a driver." And I'm saying, "No, I'm not a driver. I'm a tradesman." They kept on insisting that I was a driver. Well, I suppose I am a driver, and that's what I'm trying to further now, to become a large truck driver. One advantage I've got is that soon I'll be turning 50. In this country I'm going to have to work until I'm 70 or in my 70s. It's not like Europe where you retire early. Here we're going to have to work pretty into an older age. Why, I'm not sure, because there's a lot of people coming to the country and they are able to support the people that retire. However, for whatever reason, I'd like to work into my 50s, my 70s, and so I've got 20-25 years of work to do when I turn 50. So that's plenty of time, and who knows what I can achieve. I'd like to think that maybe there could be the possibility that I could work in the States. That's a little bit far-fetched. However, I do work for a Texas company here, so who knows? You just never know in life. My driving instructor said that I said I like driving, I enjoy driving, and he sort of picked up on that, and he said that a lot of people are sent there and they don't even want to be there. I'm paying for my lessons and my competencies are also being ticked off, but he actually said that people get a job and they're sent for their lessons, and they're actually paid for by the business. I suppose it's a little bit frustrating for me to know that I've been trying to become a truck driver for so long and sending in applications and making phone calls and not being able to get anywhere, and then other people are sort of put on or employed by these businesses, being sent out to the same instructor, who's a fantastic instructor, by the way, and everything's being paid for, and they're getting their licenses for nothing. And I'm a person who enjoys driving, could be a good truck driver, and I've got to pay for everything. So people are being sort of given the opportunity and put ahead of me, and don't particularly even want to be there getting free instructions as a truck driver. That's a bit frustrating, but I'm ambitious, not so much ambitious, but it's what I genuinely want to do, and it's what I enjoy, and I believe that I'll get there. So my reason for getting into truck driving was I wanted a career away from the building industry, and it was mainly because of GPS and sort of, you could say, legislation, government rules concerning how long you could drive, and some sort of structure for the protection, and just making sure that you don't work too many hours as a truck driver and it becomes too dangerous. I realise that may not be 100% the case if you're a truck driver in the industry. However, with GPS and the fact that they were doing something about safety for truck drivers, made me enter the industry. I started in 2008 trying to become a large truck driver, which is 7 years ago. I got the job I'm in at the moment, and I stuck with it, and I'm able to gain a little bit of momentum now in 2015. My uncle was a truck driver, but myself, I had no idea how to drive a truck or what was involved. It's people like the channel Eskimo Sean and Trucker Steve that I got a start, and got my first introduction to how to drive a truck. Then your boy E the Trucker, 1776 Films, and Big Rig Talk. I started watching a lot of their videos as well, and then just more recently Ali Knight and Sergey Drakchev have started making videos, and they're also very helpful. Thank you very much, peoples. As I've said, I have had a lot of other commitments and projects that absolutely had to be finished and took priority over my new career, and that's why it's taken me, no doubt, a fair bit longer than it would take for other people. Also, I didn't grow up in the city where I drive at the moment, so I'm sort of on the back foot compared to a lot of people that grew up here and would know the road system much better. The city I live in and work in is a fairly tricky city, and I did need a fair amount of time to get to know the roads.